Here we go. What is going on, Cover One crew? Welcome back to the show. Hope everybody is good. It is Victory Tuesday for us Bills Mafia supporters because it was a beatdown of those Jags, and it was unbelievable, man. How many players on that start sit did we get right? Yes, we got some wrong, but we hit on the good ones that we knew. So we're talking must-add players for Week 4 on the waiver wire, telling y'all, getting you in the goods. Fantasy season is never over. It does not matter if you are 0-3. We can climb out of that cellar and we can still make the playoffs. Never quit, never give up. Follow me and I will definitely help you down the line. But let's talk those running backs. Chuba Hubbard. I know a lot of y'all dropped Chuba, as Bryce Young in that Carolina Panthers offense was not doing the business. 52% ownership right now, so he could be there in some of y'all's leagues. Andy Dalton gave him a new lease on life, and he absolutely crushed it. 20-plus points this past week. 36.4 on the season. They look good under Andy Dalton. Don't expect Andy to put up those types of points every single week, but at least this gives this offense something to work with. Now Chuba does look a lot better. Get him on your roster if he is sitting on your waiver wire. Bucky Irving, next running back on the board, 35% ownership, 20 points, and coach is absolutely smitten by his game. What have I been telling y'all about a Rachaad White all the way back to the offseason? He is a good running back, but in the open field. It's just not working at the ground game. Bucky Irving is finding those holes. He's galloping through. He's getting to the edges. He's making plays, and he's earning more touches from the coaching staff. Bucky Irving is definitely a high priority waiver wire running back at this point. Get him on your roster right now. We can't necessarily start him week to week, but it is getting a lot closer. No kidding. Cam Akers still on the board, only due in part to the Joe Mixon injury. Joe sat last week. At least we almost got 10 points from a Cam Akers in a pinch. Not too shabby, man. The Houston Texans look like absolute garbage, but I do foresee a bounce back. If Joe is not ready to go once again, you can absolutely lean upon a Cam Akers, absolutely, for volume upside and potential red zone upside, man. Cordero Patterson finds the way on the board because Jalen Warren is dealing with a knee injury again. He's going for an MRI from last I saw, and Najee Harris was walking around with an arm sling, so we'll see the health on Najee as well. We could absolutely see a Cordero Patterson start running the football quite a bit as well. So if you do look, or if you are looking for some help at the running back spot with all the injuries that we do have, Patterson, you could do a lot worse, no question, if all those guys are down. Jalen Warren and a Najee Harris. Braylon Allen still on the board. Okay, he was haircut a little bit last week because Breece Hall was running extremely well. These Jets look good, man, and they looked, Aaron Rodgers looked a lot better. The offense is moving. Braylon will get his sprinkles from time to time. Right now, we got to treat him as the priority one handcuff in the NFL if anything does happen to Breece Hall. So Breece Hall owners, if you got room on your bench, you definitely need to handcuff with this man. Only 36% ownership, so you can still get him on your waiver wire. Justice Hill for these Baltimore Ravens, PPR upside, it's going to go back and forth, up and down. But at least if you're in full PPR leagues, Justice Hill is definitely warranted to at least own a spot on your bench at this point. Derrick Henry's the king. He's not going to go down outside of, freak injury to his foot or something, but he is still the king, and he's going to keep running. But at least Justice Hill provides us some decent PPR upside. Alexander Madison, I told y'all to bench Zeus White last week, and Matty, there's a couple of y'all that said, do I start Madison this week? I said he's got some TD appeal, and he did repay us. It wasn't top end, but he still has 32 points on the season, 31% ownership rate, so you could do, pretty decently in matchup play with a Madison, but the coach is going to be making some business decisions on the guys that definitely gave up on that contest, but Madison's decent as well. Emmanuel Wilson, Green Bay Packers. How frustrated can we all be with a Josh Jacobs just not finding the holes? Wilson looks more explosive. He's finding open lanes. Malik Willis in this offense looks like Jordan Love in this offense right now. Jordan Love should be back maybe next week, but I would not be surprised or shocked if they do let Willis play one more week to let Love heal up. So I'm telling y'all, Wilson is a decent play, but you got to understand it's going to be only flex appeal at most at this point, and it still is heavy risk. But if anything happens to a Josh Jacobs, Wilson should be that dude. Ty Chandler still on the board. Again, handcuff appeal for me as well. Aaron Jones eventually will go down with an injury, barring, we don't hope it happens. Nobody hopes injuries happen, but Aaron Jones' history of injuries is there, so Ty Chandler would be another primary handcuff. Jalen Wright for these Miami Dolphins, it's going to be tough, man, but as long as Mostert is out, they're going to continue to try and push this run game. Right now, Jalen Wright's just on my watch list. Likewise, with a Ray Davis, 19%. Bills absolutely crushed those Jags. Ray Davis found himself fortunate to find his way into the end zone in garbage time. He is definitely a great handcuff on the watch list as well. Quarterback time, Sam Darnold. And, man, he's younger than a lot of quarterbacks. He's younger than Dak. He's younger than Josh Allen. He's younger than Joey B, 27 years old, and he's found a home with these Minnesota Vikings. Looks absolutely fantastic. Give Coach O'Connell his flowers, like I said last week. He's got this team moving in the right direction. Brian Flores has this defense humming. And, I mean, Sam Darnold, the knee is fine. Apparently, just a little bit of a tweak. He is good. 66 points and under 30% ownership rate. If you're struggling at quarterback right now, you can go get yourself a Sam Darnold and suit him up on matchup play. He's looking damn good. Aaron Rodgers, likewise, 50% ownership rate. Okay, everyone was wondering, how was he going to come back? Over 40 years old. Achilles injury is an issue. He's got 50 points, and this Jets offense looks good, man. Sprinkling an Alan Lazard with a Breece Hall, with a Garrett Wilson, with a Mike Williams potentially. You got Ty Conklin. This offense was moving last Thursday Night Football, and you got to believe that this is moving in the right direction for these New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers, abso-freaking-lutely, as they figure this thing out, he will just continue to get better. There is no question. Justin Fields, he is on the board with that rushing upside. 40 points, y'all. He's only 60% owned right now. You could do so much worse than a Justin Fields. Told y'all I was good with Superflex start with a Justin Fields last week. I am almost going to be at a point we can say we can play a Justin Fields. Rushing upside is there. He's getting more comfortable. Chemistry building is there. As long as they figure out who the secondary wide receiver is on this team, that's when we'll start to see this team uplift and move in the right direction. Offensive line still has struggles, but at least Justin Fields is starting to feel himself a little bit. I like him a lot. Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, he comes back to relevance. Poor Bryce Young. This makes him look even worse, man. 28.4 points for an Andy Dalton. He got Adam Thielen injured on that last touchdown, but at least Deontay Johnson is definitely alive and well right now, and Xavier Legette might get some more sprinkles now that Adam Thielen's likely out for a couple weeks with a hammy injury as well. Andy Dalton is here to stay. Like I said in start sit, he's got nothing to prove. He's going to play loose. He's going to play fresh, and it's going to be like it's his retirement party, man. He's going to play well as long as they let him, and I think Andy Dalton, he's got a new lease on life. We could definitely use him in matchup play. Danny Penny's Daniel Jones. Okay, I mean, I'm not trusting it 100%, but with a guy like Malik Neighbors, I think we can start using him as a streaming quarterback. Once again, Danny Pennies will give us, the interceptions, the fumbles, the sacks, the poor play, but with a guy like a superstar in the making, like a Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale's getting in the mix as well. Motor Singletary's running the football extremely well. This removes a lot of pressure from Danny Pennies. We can stream Danny Pennies at this point. Malik Willis, until Jordan Love does come back, he's still got relevance. Maybe one more week. I mean, what is this, man? Anybody going to Green Bay, Coach LaFleur, he deserves some flowers as well, making Malik Willis look like an absolute wonderful quarterback where Tennessee couldn't figure out how to utilize this man. Give LaFleur all the credit. Give Malik Willis all the credit as they do look good in that sense. Wide receiver time, Juwan Jennings. What did I tell y'all? I don't take a lot of victory laps. Maybe I do. I'm taking one on this one because I told y'all weeks ago that I was so bullish on a Jennings, saying they needed to give him more touches. They needed to give him more targets. Now with Debo out, I told y'all Debo and Kittle went out last week, but Ayuk, he was going to get all the coverage. You knew this was going to happen to a 40-plus spot in fantasy points. Unbelievable contest. Likely won a lot of y'all your games. Me as well. I played him in many leagues that I could pick him up, and I'm telling y'all, Juwan Jennings once again, Debo's likely out again this week. It's not going to be another 40-point show, but at least the trust is there with a Brock Purdy, and they will continue to feed Jennings the ball. Now you're going to pay a premium where you could have got him for pennies on the dollar last week. So, I mean, it is what it is. 32% ownership, 50 points on the season. Jennings, again, is a top pickup this week. Darnell Mooney, full Mooney back on the board as a Kirk Cousins. Cousins is looking in his direction. He's not looking at Kyle Pitts as much, and it seemingly looks and appears that the best chemistry right now is with a Darnell Mooney. Mooney's always been a great route runner. We've seen this, and it's been on display so far in the first 3 weeks of the regular season. 26% ownership, almost 30 points. He absolutely has wide receiver 3 flex appeal as we move forward, as Kirk Cousins gets more comfortable with this offense. Mooney is one of his favorite targets. Jalen Naylor, I told y'all he was a favorite player of mine as well. Sneaky upside without a Jordan Addison. And he's proven it, man. 11% ownership. He's almost got, 33 points on the board, half PPR. It is looking good, but Addy will come back. It will haircut a Naylor in his role. So as long as Addy's out on that ankle injury, I think we could continue to play a Naylor in a pinch on a flex without having major concerns. He will get his targets, and he does have a nose for that end zone. And the way Sam Darnold is playing, we can absolutely trust it. Allen Lazard still on the board, 30% ownership, almost 40 points. He's going to get his sprinkles, man. And I think the way that this offense is moving in New York, Mike Williams isn't quite there yet. He got comfortable with that back shoulder fade from Aaron Rodgers last week. I think it's still going to take some time for Mike Williams. Allen Lazard still's got a heaping amount of chemistry with an Aaron Rodgers going back to the Green Bay days. So for me, Lazard is going to be hit and miss. But when he hits, he does hit, and he's absolutely phenomenal in the yak ability. So at least your floor is going to be relatively safe with an Allen Lazard. Wan'Dale Robinson. If you're scrambling in deeper leagues for a wide receiver, you could do a lot worse than Wan'Dale. 21 points. He is integrated in this offense, and everybody's going to start moving to cover a Malik Neighbors. Malik has been seeing, the secondary coverage, basically through the first 3 weeks. This will change, man. They understand what kind of freak he is. You see that catch he made in the end zone, jumped 6 feet in the air, body contorted, toe drag swag. But this will open up at Wan'Dale as they move forward as well. Everything is, subject to Malik Neighbors continuing to play well, pulling coverage away. But Wan'Dale's definitely back on my radar. Xavier Legette, rookie. Like I'm saying, with Adam Thielen out with a hamstring injury for, potentially 2 to 3, 4 weeks. Xavier Legette should see his target share increase now with an Andy Dalton. He's going to be able to feed this rookie on the regular, and we could start seeing fireworks from this young guy. He reminds me a lot of a Deebo Samuel. They come from the same school, so it's almost like they recruited him to be the same type of player. Legette is a fantastic talent, and if Andy Dalton can at least play at, 70% of what he played last week, I'm all in on Xavier Legette on target upside, no question. Quentin Johnston, QJ. Okay, found his way into the end zone once again, but then basically went to sleep for the rest of the contest because a Justin Herbie is dealing with that high ankle sprain. He had to come out of that contest, and it just wasn't the same. You're going to struggle with a Tyler Heineke with the Los Angeles Chargers, so it's going to be difficult. So QJ, I do believe we can own him as long as a Herbert is the quarterback. If not, it's going to be a risky play, but he is still doing very well at this point. Noah Brown. I think this role is just going to continue for a Noah Brown. Jaden Daniels looked absolutely phenomenal on Monday Night Football, spreading the football around. Terry McLaurin is alive. He lives. And this is unbelievable, man. Jaden Daniels looks like the real deal, playing like the best out of all the rookies right now. And this offense is definitely run heavy, open up with the play action pass, and Jaden Daniels is able to test it down the field. Noah Brown will have his role increase as they look for that secondary wide receiver. Diami Brown is also pushing for that role, but Noah Brown is one of these dudes. Low rent right now. His role could be week 6, 7, 8, and forward, being one of these guys we could trust in our flex and wide receiver 3. Jacoby Meyers, he gets back to the goods, finds a way into the end zone. Minshew did not look great, but it was in the later parts of that contest as well, so he did save us late. It's not like I can sit here and say, yeah, I called that to be a great one. No, it was late. I did say, you could maybe play him, but I'm telling y'all, it was late, so I'm not going to, do a victory lap on that one either, but he's back on the radar, 36%. He's got 30 points. Lots of mouths to feed, so if Minshew can't keep supporting all of these guys, it's going to be hit or miss. It's going to be matchup play. Trey Tucker even went off this past week, so it definitely lots of mouths to feed, so keep that one under your hat. I don't know if I'm running to the wire to get a Mears at this point. Jahan Dotson, he is on the list because Smitty went down with that nasty hit, man. Dirty hit, concussion. He may not suit up. A.J. Brown still dealing with his injury. If A.J. Brown and Smitty can't go this week, it's going to be a heaping of Saquon Barkley and Dallas Goedert, but Dotson's definitely going to see his share of some targets as well. 10% ownership. Only keep him on the wire until we figure out what's going on with a Smitty and an A.J. Brown for week 4. and then we'll move from there. Turpin from these Dallas Cowboys. Okay, 1% ownership, 20 points. Had a great contest this past week as the Cowboys try to come back versus those Baltimore Ravens. He's tricky right now. I think they're looking for the right piece at this point. Jalen Tolbert had over 11 points. CeeDee Lamb had a fumble. He was on the sidelines very frustrated, and they were looking for others to, spark this offense quite a bit. Turpin is one of these guys, got wheels for days, and if they can figure out how to utilize him properly like they did this past week, we could have a player on our hands. Right now, it's still too risky to roster at this point, but I don't mind it. If you got deeper benches, absolutely put him on that bench. Michael Wilson from these Arizona Cardinals, watch list player for me right now. It's just not near enough to roster at this point, but we got to be ahead of the game and ahead of the curve. Marvin Harrison Jr. is still looking great. They stifled the run game last week, which inhibited the top-end offensive productivity for Kyler Murray and company, but Wilson did have himself some targets as they locked up a Marvin Harrison down the rest of the contest. Watch list player for me, 20 points is nothing to sneeze at in 3 weeks for a secondary wide receiver. Definitely keep tabs on him. And then Trey Tucker, 24 points, man. He goes off this past week. I believe it was, 18 points. I'm a Trey Tucker fan, Trey Tucker supporter. I just don't think there's enough, balls to go around to feed everybody. Devontae, you got Brock Bowers, you got the running game you're trying to, employ. Trey Tucker is a player. If he figures it out to be the main slot guy, he is going to eat in this offense as well. Watch list player for me. Keep tabs on him as well. Finish it off with tight ends. Cole Kmet comes back to relevance. This is what we wanted to see. This is what I was hoping Caleb was going to do. That offensive line is so bad in Chicago. Caleb's going to be running for his life for weeks on end, but at least we got Cole Kmet. What do you have, 10 catches this past week? He is the safety blanket. The running game is not working. You need to recreate this in the short pass game. I don't understand what the offensive coordinator in Chicago is doing. It is horrific right now. Get creative. Your routes are too long, and this is why Caleb was starting to dump the football off to a Cole Kmet. He is back on the radar, and I do believe that this, is going to continue, as Roma Dunze even showed. He could be a player. Cole Kmet, definitely his role is increasing. Ty Conklin, once again, with an Aaron Rodgers. These Jets are on the ups, man. Ty Conklin does have good appeal for tight end, the tight end position being so bad when it comes to top end fantasy point totals. At least we got some good news with a Ty Conklin. Aaron Rodgers does like this guy, and he was making plays last week. Definitely on the radar for us to pick up once again this week. Mike Gesicki. My fear for Gesicki was that, T. Higgins coming back would give him a haircut. He only had 6 points this week as well. 40% ownership, but I do like Gesicki. Cincinnati is in shambles right now. 0-3, not looking good. Gesicki's role will continue. Anywhere from 5 to 8 points. That's gold right now for tight ends. Gesicki will provide 40% ownership. You can still get him. Zach Ertz, 23%. Again, 6 to 8 points is going to be kind of where your median is right now for tight ends. And you got to find it week to week. With how Jaden Daniels performed in the past game, I am very encouraged on this offense. They run so well, which means Zach Ertz doesn't leave the field. There will be play-action pass opportunity once they start figuring it out in the pass game. That much more, he is still a player for me. Colby Parkinson. Again, with all the injuries, that Matthew Stafford looked good with the, makeshift wide receiver room that he did have this past week. Colby still will have a role, but 4 to 8 points, again, is going to be where you're at. Strange from Jacksonville. He caught himself a touchdown versus the Buffalo Bills. Yes, it was in garbage time as well. But that's all predetermined on the fact if an Evan Ingram does come back next week or the week after, then we can completely omit Strange. As long as Ingram is out, he does have a role, and Trevor Lawrence is trying to pass to anybody right now. And then Brock Wright for the Detroit Lions. Sam Laporta goes down with that ankle injury. He would be the next man up in this rotation, but I caution it only because Amon-Ra, J-Mo, the run game with Monty and Gibby will be seeing the majority of the workload, so Wright would be only in massive deeper leagues for me, 14, 16 team leagues, but there is always TD upside as Brock has that potential to be a red zone threat like he has in the past. But there you have it. That is waiver wire week number 4 must-add players. And at least we, escaped massive injury this week, but we got some players to, at least believe that our team can be uplifted by on this waiver wire. And Juwan Jennings is definitely one of those guys leading the charge once again. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts, and we'll see you next time. I am out.